And we should see our attendees streaming in. I'm going to pause the. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Creative Cultural Entrepreneurship and our distinguished panel of guests today. We have Juliana Martinez Barbie. She's our director at the SBDC at Northern New Mexico College. She'll be moderating for us today. We also have our four panelists. Let me begin with, let's see. I'll begin with Liana Sanchez. She's the CEO of Avanu General Contracting LLC. Avanu LLC General Contracting is a Native American woman-owned construction company. Their top priority is customers, offering quality service to all their clients. They've been incorporated since May of 2004. And since then, they've had an opportunity to work with several tribal entities as well as private projects. Liana was also a student at Northern New Mexico College and is a client of the SBDC. She has an associate in business administration and is working towards a bachelor's of business administration. She handles all office management, support, and financials for the company. She has been directly responsible for management of contracts in Nambe, Santa Clara, Piqueres, Tesuque, Okeowinge, and Taos Pueblos, as well as custom home projects in the Espanola Valley and Santa Fe County. Her current duties include insurances, certified payroll, subcontractor management, safety, and accounts receivable and payable for Avanu LLC. Liana is an enrolled tribal member of the Pueblo de San Ildefonso. Our next distinguished panelist is Giovanna Papionetti. She's a celebrated Taos fine artist, published author, and entrepreneur. She finds inspiration in the world of nature and in the traditions, history, and stories of Native American and Hispanic cultures that have been the subject of her paintings for the last 32 years. She characterizes her art as a search for life's roots and meanings, which led her to return to her own roots in the Provence of L'Aquila, Italy. Giovanna's paintings are published in numerous history books and featured in PBS documentaries. One of her most significant works graces an exterior wall of the Taos Town Hall. Considered a major Taos landmark, the Taos Timeline murals depict the history of Taos, beginning with Taos Pueblo before the Spanish 1300 AD. Our next panelist is Norma Naranjo, and she has a special guest with us today, Amalia Valdez. Norma Naranjo began her business, The Feasting Place, after retiring in 1999 from the U.S. Public Health Corp as a social worker. Before she retired, she was receiving so many requests to prepare traditional dishes for various events that soon people began suggesting she start a catering business. Norma and her husband Hutch planned and raised their own crops on Hutch's land in Santa Clara, Pueblo. They both agree on carrying on their family's agricultural traditions. They farm much of their own. They farm much as their ancestors did without using chemical fertilizers and pesticides, and their beef is grass-fed. Sounds lovely. And has also been awarded the SBDC at Northern New Mexico College's Outstanding SBDC Star Business. And her assistant, the assistant of the Feasting Place and future creative business owner, Amalia, is a member of the Okeowinge Pueblo and also Part Zuni in Santa Clara. Amalia attends Aspen Elementary School in Los Alamos, New Mexico. So those are our panelists today. I'm going to turn it over to Juliana, our moderator. And thanks for joining us all.
Thank you, and bienvenidos en Bepuave, and thank you for joining us. This is a really exciting and very close to my heart training workshop. Today you are going to meet some amazing entrepreneurs. These women, I think I've been working with them for either the last 18 or 20 years. And as Chris mentioned, they have all been SBD Star Award winners. And so we are featuring their stories today in a hope to inspire you all. I think there's a time right now that we really need some inspiring. And we're going to show you today where culture and tradition meets modern day society. And you're going to see some really creative job creation. I really believe that the key to a sustainable future is really reawakening our past. We have a sustainable past and it's been proven. And sharing that past and providing an experience is the key to this economic development success that we are going to see with each one of these. Every time I've worked with each one of these women, it seems like the ancestors are walking right beside us as they're telling me their story, and we're walking with them, and you're going to kind of feel that today. We have interwoven cultural traditions and landscapes that are just unique to us. And this is really a really good basis for new economic development. During the past 20 years, several, Giovanna, Liana, and Norma have all gone with me to national trainings or DC and shared their experience. And every time I've been able to feature them as a panelist or feature their stories, even maybe at times that when they weren't there, it's just amazing at the feedback that I get. And people just want to hear more and more about each one of them. They're really fascinated with what they grew up with the cultures, with their talent, with their gifts that they're sharing. And so today, the secret to everything that we're doing here, to creative economic development, it's all about the experience. So I really want you to take note of that. And we're now recovering from COVID. And I really feel that also we had an opportunity to really re-examine our lives, our businesses, everything. But I think that opportunity has allowed us to shift our way of thinking and to think more creatively. If you don't have that perfect job, let's create it. And these women have been able to live their passion and create their perfect jobs. And they're going to talk to you about their successes, their struggles today, and they'll get to share your stories. So a little before we go to that, each one of them have been an SBDC client. And so any one of you that want to create that perfect job or want to see if anything that you grew up with that's a traditional cultural, just come see us at the Americas SBDC, New Mexico SBDC. Has all, what we are all about is no cost consulting, low cost training, just like we're doing today, sharing our best practices, global resource. We have national expertise on board. So we have a variety of expertise ready to assist you and guide you and surround you with everything that you need to succeed. We also have SBDCs in every one of our community. We have a procurement technical assistant program. We have a New Mexico International Business Accelerator, and we have a technology commercial accelerator. So we are really here to help you. If there's something that I cannot do, one of our colleagues will definitely have that expertise. I primarily help several businesses in areas of video. Right now I'm helping with YouTube videos and marketing and public speaking. We also help with business planning, which we now call reimagine planning and renewing planning, reigniting businesses that are moving in this direction. And so all you have to do is just call us, email us, sign up as an SBDC, and we will be there to help you. These are some of the areas that we assist in all areas of business development, from marketing, financial growth plan, access to market research. We team up with a lot of national organizations, so we're able to supply to our businesses anything that you need to succeed. Some of the creative cultural entrepreneurs, I was mentioning before, it's all about the experience. We're reawakening what we already knew through our traditions and our cultures. We're sharing them, and it's about the experience. We're developing new markets. It's all about creative thinking and just thinking of that sustainable past that we have. And these are women that are going to share their stories where it has honestly really worked. Again, the SBDC is here to help you. Number one, as long as you have that passion, and then we create a plan, you surround yourself with the right people, and we make sure that you make a profit. And then you have a business through your culture and traditions. So I'm really excited to start with our first presenter, Giovanna Papanetti, Taos Fine Artist. I'm going to start reading this, and then Giovanna, I want you to get ready and take over. And so through my art, I can express the meaning of life, the driving force of our existence. Every brushstroke brings me closer in my quest to discover old instincts and how we can relate to the natural world as I capture the spirit of my models on canvas. They bring life to me as well. It is a union of mutual respect and gives me the courage to fly. Okay, Giovanna, will you share with us your story? Okay, Giovanna, put your mic on. Sorry, we cannot hear you.
Okay.
Okay, and then put your video on also so that we can see you as well. Okay, you're on and you're ready to go. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Juliana, and welcome to all the participants today for being here with us. First of all, a little bit about me. Before I started working with Small Business Development Center, I was extremely shy and I didn't have a lot of confidence in my work. And my background is Italian and Russian. And fortunately, when I was in elementary school, I had a principal who tried to encourage me because she knew I enjoyed art, and she would have me walk parents down the hallway to show them my murals in the school. And I guess we all need people to inspire us and bring out the best in us. I also had an English teacher in junior high who had me write stories and do illustrations of them. I ran a graphic arts department for Comatics Corporation, a subsidiary of Command Aerospace in South Windsor, Connecticut. And I was given a room that I shared with an accountant, and it had a very large drawing board for me. And the president of the company told me, I don't know what you're going to do, but here's your office. And that was like, wow, you know, they trust me enough to just put me somewhere, and we'll see what happens. They sent me to a Dale Carnegie class where I developed the courage to ask for a raise. I never had to ask again. While I was working there, I signed up for an anthropology class to spend a week in New Mexico, and that changed my life. I hadn't painted in 3 years. A gallery told me that my still life paintings had more life than my portraits, and was kind of discouraging. So I wasn't really interested in painting. I got laid off from my job because they lost government contracts, and I ended up moving back to New Mexico because I was so inspired by my trip with the anthropology class. I kept trying to find jobs like the corporate one that I had until I realized that the inspiration that brought me to New Mexico was to be an artist. I started working with Juliana Barbie in 1999. I met with her in Taos almost every week for years. It took a while, but she gave me the confidence I needed to believe that I could make a living working as an artist. My strengths have been...
Giovanna, do you want to put your camera on for us?
Share screen, right? I don't know what's happening here. I don't know what's happening.
Hold on 1 second. I'm sharing mine. Let me stop share. You should be able to, Juliana, if you'd share again, you should be able to turn on your camera at the bottom of your screen. There should be an icon of a video camera. Perfect. Oh, just went off. Perfect.
That works perfect. Go ahead, Giovanna. I know you were talking a little bit about, before we interrupted, you were talking about the strengths that you had. So go ahead and continue from
Okay.
there.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
That's okay. Go ahead.
My strengths have been, since I've been meeting with Juliana, I'm very passionate about my art. My sheltered life fostered my curiosity. I'm persistent, which is, I've been told, one of my strongest characteristics. I enjoy networking.
Okay, you're on still. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm ready for you to start the slideshow. Okay, so this is Roy Pete. I first saw him at a powwow in Taos during my second visit to Taos. I was inspired and my camera followed him dancing. This began a long friendship and a lot of paintings. He told me my paintings were healing and encouraged me to paint him.
You're on the next slide, Giovanna. So talk a little bit about the prayers by the fire and what that was all about.
Okay, I visited Roy in his canyon in Arizona, and he was singing Navajo chants and telling Navajo stories. And by the fire, it was just very magical. So I was able to get this image.
And you were painting murals about the Taos timeline murals. Can you tell us about those?
Yes, in 1998, I was commissioned to paint 4 3 feet by 5 feet historical murals of Taos. This was paid for with lodger's taxes. As the weather got colder, because I was there for 10 months, the town built an enclosed area around the murals while I was painting. And I brought chairs in there so people could bring their families and watch me paint. Okay.
I want everybody to notice, if you haven't seen these videos, I mean, just the detail that's on these paintings of, this is the first mural that's here, and just the reflection in the mirror is just, I just thought was amazing. So go ahead, and Giovanna.
Yeah. So the second one on the top is Don Juan de Oñate when he discovers Taos Pueblo. And when he first arrived, he was a man from Espanola who had all the period clothing and horses, and they used this for parades in Espanola and Taos and everywhere, I guess Albuquerque. So he was practicing and he was riding up and down my driveway dressed like that on his horse, holding a flag, and cars were going by, and it was, they were just astonished by what they saw. Most of my models were from Taos and Espanola, and I did research at the State Archives in Santa Fe. And I really love the tricultural community that we have here in New Mexico and Taos.
And here are some live models that you also painted as well.
Yeah, these are paintings of, some more paintings of my Native American models.
And now we're on some of the portraits of some of the really prominent tribal members at Taos. Tell us a little about the late Tony Reyna.
Okay, this portrait, I was invited by the Taos News to paint 4 portraits for their annual La Conquistadora edition to honor special people in Taos. And that's, one of them is on the left, and I have another one down below. And then Taos Pueblo Landscape is a portrait of Jonathan Warmday from Taos Pueblo, who is an accomplished writer and painter as well.
Okay, and now we're talking about Spanish culture and traditions. So can you tell us about La Llorona? We all know about that. If we grew up in northern New Mexico, everyone knows this story. So go ahead, Giovanna.
Yes, La Llorona was another one of the paintings that I was commissioned to do by the Taos News for the Conquistadora edition. And I found another model, my first model, and I just wasn't happy. And this happens a lot with me. I have to be really happy that I have the right person for the right painting. And so I wasn't happy with the first one. And then I found Chris Ann, and she started crying, and she said that La Llorona was her favorite story and how she used to recite it in Spanish when she was younger. So I knew, that's how I knew she was the right person for this. And it's based on a mythical story in Spanish history. And the man on the right is Jose Romero from Taos. And I had some interesting, he was a wonderful man. He was the father of my neighbors across the way. And one day he contacted me and said that one of his sheep had been killed and another one was stolen, and he was beside himself. And then somebody else told him that they knew somebody who just bought a sheep. And I said, well, wait a minute. I have pictures since I was painting him so much. I have photographs of your sheep. So let's look at them and you can tell me which one it is. And he did. And he took the picture to the sheriff, and the sheriff went with him and they got their sheep back. And when he brought it back home, all the other sheep were just so happy. They were they were so happy to see their little friend come back. So that was a funny story. Yeah.
I was really excited to be with Giovanna during this, her becoming an author. So tell us about the book that you published.
Right. I was at Okiawingi Pueblo one day for a feast, and I met with the priest and I was talking with him and I enjoyed our conversation, and I gave him my business card, which has one of my paintings on it, and he associated it with, because he spent a lot of time in Italy, and he associated it with Caravaggio, a famous painter from the Middle Ages. And so he said, you did this? And I said, yes. He goes, oh, I promised the Pueblo ladies at Okiawingi that I would have an artist paint an altar screen for them. And this would be perfect. So I was chosen to be the artist to paint 21 paintings for an altar screen. And first of all, I needed models for this. So I said, well, let's go to Canada because we need actual Mohawk models. So we planned a trip. We all went up there, 6 Pueblo ladies and the priest and I managed to find an 8-person van, and it was a remarkable experience. And so the paintings first were installed in a 18-foot high altar screen at St. John the Baptist Church. And a funny thing happened, not funny, it was kind of weird. The priest decided to invite 5 of the people from the Mohawk Reservation for this mural dedication, or the altar screen dedication. And we called them at their hotel, and he said, well, let's just set them in there for now, and then we'll permanently fix them later. And I said, well, I'm afraid they might fall out. And he says, no, it's okay. So when the 5 Mohawk people came in, all of the paintings fell down, and we looked at it as though Kateri was saying hello to her Mohawk friend. So that's how we justified that that was okay. Okay, so Juliana attended my first book signing at the John B. Strong Gallery on Canyon Road in Santa Fe. And it was very successful. We had, I don't even remember how many people, but there were so many people who showed up for this event. And the gallery was very happy to see that my work would attract so many people.
And since on the screen before that we couldn't see some of the close-ups, these are some of the close-ups of some of those paintings.
Right. One of them is the one on the left is Kateri working on crafts. She had been semi-blinded by a disease, and her family died, but she could still do things that were close up and work on crafts and help her family. She was a very valued member of the Mohawk people. And the one on the right-hand side is the birth of Kateri, and the model on the right-hand side is actually the father of both of the baby and the girl on the left-hand side, who I portray as Kateri's mother. Okay, so after following my book on the left-hand side, I did a painting because I was invited to Rome to attend her canonization, all expenses paid by the Black and Indian Mission in Washington, D.C. So I gifted them with this painting, thanking them for allowing me to go on such a special trip. And this painting was shown, he brought it with him to Rome, and it was shown in Rome. And then the painting on the right-hand side is the death of Cattery in 1680. And that painting is 40 inches wide by 29.5 inches high. And the reason this is so significant as the first miracle is that all her smallpox scar that she had as a child disappeared after she died. Okay, this is a 3 foot by 6 foot mural that I was commissioned by Okeowengi Pueblo, and it shows a family fishing scene before the Spanish. And on the left-hand side, I have a spirit woman who's Esther Martinez, who unfortunately had passed away. And this is pretty much a lot of her family. Her daughter Josephine is below her. Her great granddaughter is the little girl watching the butterfly in the painting, and the men are out in the lake fishing in the river, and the crows are fighting over some of the fish. So I worked with Herman Agoyo on this project for probably a couple of years, and right now it's at the library at Okeowengi.
Okay. And before you get started on this next slide, Giovanna, I just wanted to also mention that part of economic development, I really feel is everybody's, we all have a part, our cities, our counties, our state legislators, our congressmen, our tribal governors. We all have a part, and we all have to be out there supportive, always be telling about our small businesses, advocating and what we're doing. So part of what Giovanna is going to share with you today is a little bit of that. So Giovanna, go ahead and tell us about these paintings.
Okay, so the Speaker of the House, the late Ben Lujan, the state legislature commissioned me, or some members of the state legislature commissioned me to do a portrait of him. He was very ill at the time, and was not expected to live too much longer. And at the last day of the state legislature, well, they asked me to do a portrait of him. And after several tries of getting the right photos from his son, Ben Ray Lujan, I finally found the right reference material to work from. So I created that painting. He was totally unaware of this. And on the last day of the state legislature, they invited me to be in the room with the family. And then we all walked out on the house, and the last thing they did was introduce me to present the painting to him, and he was totally surprised, and it was a beautiful moment. It was really a beautiful moment. And it turned out that when I was put in the room with his family, that there was a girl named, his daughter was Shirley Lujan, and I didn't realize that she was his daughter, and I'd known Shirley for years. So that was through my friend Joanne. So his wife actually invited me to her home to show me where she hung the painting. And that was a real honor. Okay, so in Taos, the Taos News wanted to celebrate my 25 years in Taos, and they had an amazing writer do a story about me, and Laura Bulkin. And
I'm going to go ahead and read her quote a little bit before you move on. We took this out of the article. Unbroken creative lineages can be traced back across 1,000 years or more. A quarter century of exceptional, ever evolving in the arts is still rare enough to warrant a celebration. So they were really celebrating the 25 years that Joanna had. Can you tell us about the Thousand Voices?
Yes, I was asked to contribute one painting that was mine of Don Juan de Oñate in this New Mexico PBS special. And then Okeowingi gave permission for them to use the family fishing scene that they own. And I was so honored to have that in this New Mexico PBS special. And I thought that it also went across the country. I'm not sure about that, but that was a real honor. And then the book on the left-hand side, World History, that is one of many history books that have contacted me to put for me to give them permission to use my Taos historical murals in their books, because most history books don't talk about the Southwest and the Native Americans and the Spanish. And so I was really glad to see that they were finally creating sections that would include this information for people to know a little bit more about New Mexico.
And this is an award you got at the People's Choice Award in the Taos Fall Arts Festival.
Yes, this is a raven on the edge of the Grand Canyon. When I was there, I was so inspired. Again, most of my work, I have to be very inspired to paint. I don't just paint to sell. I have to love what I'm doing. And it was so exciting when I got reference material for this image. But what I didn't know is that the raven was on the edge of the Grand Canyon because it was very windy and he was waiting for a thermal so he could take off and fly. And that would have been an amazing picture. But I was happy with this one, and it won the People's Choice Award in the Taos Fall Art Show. Okay, this is just another example of my love for wildlife and all creatures. Okay, and these horses I saw at Taos Pueblo on a snowy day. It was really fun painting snow and the landscape, and the owners of the horses were very excited about this and have a copy of it. Okay, this has to do with wildlife. I had barn swallows nesting in my carport, and I had several successful groups of nestlings that learned how to fly. But in this situation, the parents were throwing the birds out of the nest, and when I went to rescue them, they were all dead except for this one. And I brought him to a veterinarian, and he took out, I guess flies had laid larvae in there, and he took out maggots, and it was very hopeless. I didn't think this bird would survive. He had holes in his wings, his eye was pushed out, and he was a mess. So I brought him back home, and I put him in, then I got a ladder and I put him back in the nest, and I went and sat in my car. And I would say about 30 seconds later, the parents came back and started feeding him. It was one of the most amazing things I've ever seen. But I had to feed him every hour with this high calorie, highly nutritious medicine that I would give him in a syringe. And he got so used to me every hour climbing the ladder. I'd put my finger out, he'd climb on my finger from the nest and start biting on the syringe because he wanted to be fed. And I did this every hour, in addition to the parents still coming over and feeding him. And as he got a little older, the whole flock would come in and out of my carport, flying their wings in front of him to show him how to fly. And I was there the day that he finally learned how to fly. and he wasn't on the clothesline, and I looked up in the sky, and there he was with the whole flock was flying in a circle around my house. And like I said, this is one of the most amazing nature, beautiful nature occurrences that I've ever seen. And I'm planning to write a children's book about this. Okay, so I guess as a result of that, I was so excited about what I've been learning about birds mostly, that I volunteered at the Wildlife Center that used to be in Espanola, the Rehabilitation Center. They have since moved around Nambe. And I had many, many wonderful experiences there working with all kinds of animals and birds, and it was just a very rewarding experience. And if I didn't have to make a living, I would do it all the time. Okay, in 2004, or actually that was in 2003, in the summer, I had an art show in Taos at the Fetchin Inn, and a man from Stanford University, Dan Young, who's on the right of me, he came by and saw my artwork, and he was very excited about it. And then he asked me where he could buy a bolo tie, and I sent him off to Tony Reyna's shop at the Pueblo. And I guess he was very excited about meeting both of us, and he went back to Stanford and talked to the 200 Native American students there, and suggested that they bring us both to Stanford. And the students commented, well, why don't we have someone who's Native American? Why can't we bring a Native American artist? But they decided that they were curious about me, and also they felt that I portrayed Native people in an honorable way. So Tony and I, there was 2 days of travel, and then 3 full days we spent at Stanford, and it was remarkable. The man who sponsored our trip is on the left, and his name is Bill Lane, and he was an ambassador from Australia, and he sponsored our trip, and it was just a wonderful, wonderful trip. And then when Dan died a few years ago, I was invited to his memorial at Stanford, and I was asked to give a talk. So, I mean, I've had so many amazing experiences. It was such an honor, such an honor to be there.
This was really, really wonderful, but even been able to working with you during this time, Giovanna, because it was just, I sometimes, when you work together, talk about things, and then all of a sudden everything comes alive afterwards.
Thank you. Okay, so while I was there, one of the things that they scheduled for me to do was I had shipped out a lot of my my artwork, and so they had a show for me, and I gave a lecture at the Iris and Gerald Cantor Center for Visual Arts, and that went very well. They had Tony Reyna introducing me, and it was a lot of fun.
Giovanna, before that we can close, so we can go on to our next one, can you quickly, what advice would you give to any entrepreneur first starting a creative cultural business?
Okay, first and foremost, contact your local SBDC for help. This is a free service, and I have been so happy with Juliana Barbie that I keep threatening to steal her away from there and have her be my agent. But I don't think that will ever happen, but this is a warning. Okay, and for people to find good well, as I said, contact SBDC and find someone who will help you. And they will also help you find good accounting and legal assistance. Just to let you know, I used to be very shy. And when you talk about your passion, somehow it just comes out so easy to talk about it. Writing really helps put things in perspective. Find places that give you energy stimulation, network, 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 and know when something isn't working. Make changes. Do not give up. There's always a solution. And finally, surround yourself with positive people, personally and professionally, who believe in you and bring out the best in you.
Well, thank you, Giovanna. Just hang tough. If we have time at the end, we may have questions, but we're going to move on to our next presenter. So thank you, Giovanna.
Thank
It
you,
was
Jill.
wonderful seeing those wonderful, beautiful paintings. And it's been a really great honor working with you, because she is one of the clients that you give her something to do and she's on it and she's doing it. And that's part of the success. And like she said, just having that passion makes things so much easier. So thank you, Giovanna. And now we're going to go ahead and move on to Miss Liana Sanchez. And Liana is with Avano LLC, General Contracting. And it's also been an honor to work with Liana for like the past 18 years, I think, and Mateo. And Avano is building with your spirit and environment in mind. And Liana, I'm going to let you tell them a little bit about what you're doing and about yourself. So go ahead and turn your camera on and make sure your mic is on as well.
Na okawe po Bobi, na okawe Diana Sanchez, na powoge owinge ibudi omu. My name is Liana Sanchez and I'm from the Pueblo de San Ildefonso. I just want to tell everybody welcome, and it's an honor to be here to be able to talk on Avano. We are in our 18th year of business. When we started out, we did everything. One day my brother-in-law kept telling me, Liana, when are we going to start this business? You're in college, you're taking all these business classes, all these different classes. When are we going to start this business? And I would look at him and I would laugh so hard, because I had no ambition of ever owning my own business. What in the world is this man talking about? But he was crazy enough to ask me right after working at a casino for 8 years, and they cut my hours from 40 hours a week to 12 hours a week. And he said, hey, Liana, when are we going to start this business? And I looked at him and I said, how about tomorrow? One of the things about myself is that I am willing to try anything once, maybe twice, whether it gets me in trouble or whether it doesn't get me in trouble. So it's been a good thing and a bad thing, but mixed blessings is what I can say. But I started out I was pregnant with my first daughter when my cousin told me, you're going to school. And I said, yeah, I better. I'm bringing a child into this world and I need to be able to provide for her. So I started taking classes at Northern. I was in school for 8 years, taking every class, because I did not know what I wanted to be when I grew up. But it helped in the different aspects. I took Adobe classes even before I was even in construction, just because I wanted to try everything different, files management, wood carving, everything that you could think of. And so him not seeing that I was in school, thinking that I would make a good business partner. My first major was general business, and somebody had told me that's for somebody who's aspiring to own their own business. I went the next day and changed my major to business administration, because that was not me. But the opportunity presented itself, and because of the situation and the willingness to try something once, Matilda and I came together and created Avano General Contracting.
So you definitely stepped out of your comfort zone and just took the plunge, right, Liana?
Definitely. I mean, it's like I was committed for 8 years to this organization, and I was reduced to those hours. So it's like, survivor mode. I've lived in survivor mode a lot of my life. So it was just an opportunity. Might as well take it. I work for somebody. Let's see what happens now. We do have a current crew of about 18 to 20 right now. We have some part-timers in there. We're working in Okeowinge at the current moment. Something that we do pride ourselves in is that any community in which we have opportunity to work, we do make sure to hire someone or a few from that community, whether they're coming on as a laborer or if they're skilled labor. This is one of the buildings that we've been working on in Okeowinge on the Owene Papinge Rehabilitation Project. And this picture in the center is how some of these homes are before we're able to come in and do our restoration on it. With this project, we've been able to hold job trainings, getting some of the tribal members and other tribal communities and other community members training into this skilled profession of preservation.
Tell us a little bit. Go ahead, sorry.
This is one of the homes that we're currently working on. Sadly, this portion of the home wasn't going to be restored because of a road project that's coming in the future. But our crews carefully are removing every brick that was part of the structure that is salvageable, so that we can be able to reuse and restore the other homes or the other areas of this particular home, to keeping what has been there. For some of these homes have been here 800 to 1,000 years. So it's just really keeping that spirit. And
Wow. So that really is sustainable building that you're doing, especially with the Adobe.
yes.
Now tell us a little bit about the 5 phases right now that you're currently involved in.
Okay, the Owene Bobinga Rehabilitation Project was a project that was developed by Tomasita Duran. She's the Okeowinge Housing Director. Her and her collaborations ignited this project. I'm blown away by the story of it and by the strength and resilience, and I admire her very much. So there was the first phase was phase 1, and it was a demo project just to kind of do an assessment of some of what type of work would be needed on these homes. We didn't have that expertise, but because of our relationships, we were introduced to Pat Taylor of Taylor Inc., who we met with, and he got excited about being able to team up with us, a local company, showing us some of the processes for these projects. Came, joined us. Really, he is one that is really geared to training himself out of a job. So he's, he wants people to learn this trade. He wants to have people learn offer these services. So the phase 1, he came in, he mentored us. Phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. He was awesome. We have crews from Okeowinge that travel to California, to Colorado, and to Texas for this specific field. One thing I did want to mention is that there's a total of 5 phases right now. We're in the 5th phase currently. On phase 3, because we were a native-owned company, because we specialized in Adobe historic preservation work, we were able to have that one project sole source to Avanu, which is pretty much unheard of in HUD funding, because it's always 3 bids, always the lowest bidder. It's all, there's so many guidelines, but because we had such a niche in that field, that process was able to be met. Those guidelines were able to met, and we were able to do that. And it'll probably be the one project in a lifetime that I'll get to have that on. But.
Wow. And Liana, before we go to the next screen, I know sometimes when we go on site to see some of these amazing buildings, tell us about the picture that we have there and just the thickness to give everyone an idea of the walls of Adobe walls.
That's about a 3-foot wall. They're trying to build on the footprint that was existing. So this is an exterior wall that we're looking into the next building structure. We are going to be adding an addition to this home to fill that original footprint. And as you can see how thick the Adobe walls are, I love this picture because it's just like amazing. And when you get to the next picture, next couple of pictures down, you'll see what we've done there. But it was really unique, a really unique situation, because and that wall could have been 800 years old, maybe. It's awesome to be coming into such tradition in places where my ancestors were, because my father's mom is from Okeowinge. In this picture, we are working on a stone foundation for a wall had fallen. So instead of bringing in the concrete for this modern foundation, protocol for that aspect of it is sticking to the original stone foundation. So that's what we're working on the left-hand side. On the right-hand side, it's just a picture of the modern HUD home, but getting an Adobe addition, tying them together. One thing I did want to also mention on the Winnebago rehabilitation phases is that out of the overall 5 phases of Vanyu's crew, it had been 48% Oke-Owingeh tribal members, meaning they reside in Oke-Owingeh and they're working in Oke-Owingeh. And that comes down to date, $1,257,000 in gross income for Oke tribal members. So being able to be a local contractor, the money is also staying within these communities.
Wow, and it's just amazing to see how you're intertwining the old with the new and combining them and just restoring that as well. These houses, Liana, these are just in your construction?
This house is part of this newer phase. It's just an example of the first story is the original Adobe portion of the home. And because of this project, they were able to find 400 pictures of old photos of how the pueblo transitioned. And in a lot of the older pictures, there was a lot of homes that were 2-story. So this project of restoring the central plazas is bringing back that look, but then also to be able to really house a family. So the first floor is Adobe. The second story, we are doing it in frame. Again, another example of the modern technology coming together with the older. Everyone would have loved to have it 100% Adobe, but Adobe construction is a bit labor intensive. These are a couple of other pictures. The one on the left is a home that we haven't touched the walls. We just removed stucco plaster. So you can see how well earthen materials do keep over time. We did work on the roof, put in a new ceiling on this house. The picture on the right is the second picture of the picture I talked about earlier. The thickness of the walls, and when we were putting in the header and seeing just that design, the homeowner came in just at the right moment in time and just really loved that feature. And we were supposed to originally infill the wall, but I am so glad that she chose to keep that, because to me, that just makes it such an awesome piece of little art that her house created for her.
And who would have thought between the walls there would be this really nice peaceful space as well.
Yes,
Now,
definitely.
when we go on to the next slide, Liana, I was just part of what we do with our clients at the SBDC is we really like to kind of have our clients share their best practices. And Liana's going to talk about this. We teamed up with the international businesses of other women in business and being able to share their practices and showcase with Liana. And Liana was just so wonderful at really sharing everything that she has learned and challenges and successes. So go ahead and tell us a little bit about this.
Yeah, I'm very open. I'm very open to be sharing with information. One, especially other clients are networking of the SBDC, because the SBDC has been very instrumental in, after we formatted, found out everything we did wrong. So it's really great and awesome to be able to share whatever knowledge I may have to offer, or learn from others what might work, or what worked for them, what didn't work for them, what worked for me, what didn't work for me. But just really being able to work in a collaborative to be able to share information is very important.
And this is another area where I'm saying everybody's involved, everyone contributes to economic development. And what you're going to see here, we had a tour with Justin Crossy, our regional SBA rep, and we also have John Garcia. And on the other side, we also have our president, our SBDC state director. So everybody gets involved with our clients, and that's crucially important. So tell us about this little tour that you did.
This is a tour of the Owenebekbinge Rehabilitation Project, and I just wanted to be, oh, sorry, I got thrown off. But it was nice. It was beautiful. But I do also want to recognize Tomasita Duran. She's on the second woman on the right hand side. She's the executive housing director of Okewingi, who helped really facilitated the project that's ongoing there. It's awesome to be able to get mindful people alike and seeing what the SBDC, what the SBA is being able to provide to their clients, and seeing what we're able to accomplish because of what their contribution has been to that.
And we have Mateo, who's your other partner here at the end. And
Yes.
oh, I'm sorry about that. Let me go back. Oh, I'm sorry. So we have Mateo here at the end, and then we also have our procurement technical assistant program, and then Eddie Crane, he's just an SBDC client. Everybody's supporting each other. So it's not about competition or anything. It's just what can we do to help Liana here is what this was primarily about and what she was doing.
I just wanted to make a small note on that. I'm glad that you do that. So small businesses, supporting small businesses is very important. One thing that I like to think of as we do differently is we look at, instead of looking at competitors as competitors, we like to look at as them as somebody we could collaborate with. Because there's something I'm going to be good at and there's something you're going to be even better at, and vice versa. So being able to work with also other local contractors, because there is an abundance of work out there. There's no need to be in a real competitive mode. It's like, let's tap into what we really have that we can offer one another. So I mean, it's amazing. And then just to put it out there, a lot of working with a women-owned construction company, people ask me, well, was that really hard? And I'm like, you know what? The people I've worked with, the other subcontractors, the other contractors or competitors that we have in this collaboration have been really supportive.
Wow. The other thing we do as an SBDC, we have a legislative event. And since Liana was a Star Business Award winner, we take her to the governor. This one is actually Governor Susana Martinez. So tell us a little bit about your experience here and what that day was all about.
It was really nice to be at the Roundhouse, being able to present Avanyu and to meet with the different legislators to really stress and show them the importance of these types of organizations that are helping small businesses. So it was really awesome. It was really awesome to be recognized. The one thing that I wanted to mention is when we were recognized by the SBDC, I really hadn't thought about myself as a company or as a contributing economic factor to where I'm living, terms I would never even have dreamed of. But it's like, once I started having to tell my story over and over of how Avanyu came to fruition, and what year we're in and how many employees we have, it really hit me. I was like, holy holy macaroni, I'm a business, I'm a company, I have responsibilities, because when I started this company, my main motivation and main factor was my job cut my hours from 4 to 12. I need to create something new because I have kids. I have, actually, my second daughter was just born. They called me back from maternity leave to tell me they were cutting my hours. So then I have 2 children to be responsible for. So it's just amazing because it really put that into perspective. Like, hey, you're not just surviving for yourself. You're surviving for the people that you're also contributing and helping by providing these jobs. It was like a wow thing, but then it was also like, oh my God, I have a whole new responsibility that I'm recognizing right now. This is just another parts of to be able to network and work together. We're there with the president of Northern on the right hand side, which I want to note because that's where I started my schooling, was at Northern Community College when it was a community college. When I actually got my associates, it was a college. But it was just an opportunity and just trying to really take the time to work with the school, work with the colleges, really emphasizing the trades, because right now we are really scarce in labor force, skilled labor force, especially in the trades. One other thing that I was working with earlier in the year with North Central New Mexico Economic Development District is I signed a letter of commitment that if they start working in collaboration with the colleges, with the schools, and helping develop trade classes, that if they had graduates, that if I have an opening at that given moment in time, that I am willing to bring them on as employees for Avani.
And we were talking about how the college is really important on how it's supporting you. Can you tell us a little bit about your agreement that you have now?
Yeah, that's what I just touched on. It's working with the New Mexico Regional Workforce Integration Network to work with the local colleges and the schools to be able to support more trade.
And I remember Liana, when you first started, I really like to take my businesses out into the community, and we first did a to the college, actually, to the Board of Regents. And I remember she started as a college student, and she said she started when she was a little girl. She loved to make mud pies, and she was making little mud adobes when she was very little. And I think we all did that, because I remember taking an old sardine can that my mom would give us, and we'd make little adobe homes. And then you were taking the adobe classes that were there, and it just feels like it comes full circle. And now you're literally living your passion from when you started. And that story was just remarkable, because it's just really close to my heart as well. The other thing is also taking you to DC. Can you tell us how important that was to you?
Yes, when I heard that our local SBDC, Juliana, was heading to DC to rally for the small business development centers, I really wanted to participate in that. My business partner and I talked about it, going on the trip to support, to meet, and to really show what this center has helped develop. Because one thing is, we need to also make sure that money is still coming into these organizations that are helping entrepreneurs, that are supporting the local economy. It was just an amazing trip that I really felt had to be known. And who could forget this face? I might make an impression.
And I think I do remember making a really big impression, because we were the only ones that got to actually visit with our congressman. So that was wonderful. Tell us a little bit about just building relationships and how key, because you were there and you were moving along and meeting everyone.
I think it's very instrumental to be able to get out there. I am very shy. I as much as you see me talking right now, I'm in a comfort zone because I'm only seeing my face. But it is very hard for me to get out there in a public space. And I think that's one of the things COVID did, was protect us from that, and feeling more confidence when my face is covered. But it is important to get out there, to make connections, to really show the people that are out there, that are handling the money, that are supposed to be supporting the local economies, that are helping our country, need to see that we are working, and we're working our butts off to make sure that we have a living, and need to have that continued support.
And Liana, I remember when you were talking about when we went to Washington, I remember the public speaking that we were doing, and really just speaking from your heart. When you have that passion and you speak from the heart, it's actually the best type of public speaking that you can possibly have.
So we were so lucky that we were one of the businesses that got to meet directly with our congressman. And it was an awesome opportunity. Ben Ray Lujan has always been very supportive. I've met him on several other occasions. One thing I just really have to highlight and note and put out there, especially with the SBDC and how you can support small businesses. He spoke at my daughter's graduation on May 28th. And one thing that brought a tear to my eye was he brought up mental health. He was telling these kids, you don't have to do it alone. If you need help, reach out, talk to somebody, as he was referencing an injury that he had sustained and was healing from, and kind of pulled himself back. But to hear him on that level talking to especially these kids that are starting out their new lives, this is the stuff that we need to hear, and especially from our leaders. because people can say you break a leg, oh, you're going to heal, and you see that healing process. You don't know what's out there. You don't know what's gone on that can be contributing factors. So I really give Ben Ray Lujan kudos on that, because that was, I mean, it made me cry, because I know what my struggles have been. And to be able to put that out there, especially to these graduates that are going to be moving into new paths of their lives. But it's always made time. So I just wanted to put that shout out.
And this is another highlight of meeting all the state legislators, so they know what our businesses are doing, and that way they're able to advocate policies or anything that involve, and that's the key reason here. Anything you want to say on this slide before I move forward?
It was just an awesome opportunity getting to see Nick Salazar and all that were there, and Ben Lujan. I mean, it was a perfect opportunity. Baby Gay, it was cool. It was places I never thought I'd be.
Okay, so I want to ask you, Liana, before we move on, because you're talking so much about your passion and everything, can you tell me a little bit about what you did during COVID to just kind of reignite, and how, what did you do to where you're at now, and how did that passion help you?
I think COVID really brought me to a real pivotal point in my life, because I have suffered a lot of atrocities throughout my life, things I've carried from childhood, things that I carried from my teenage years. Then you throw in the historic trauma that you realize that you're carrying a lot more on your shoulders just than what people see right in front of you, or the 44 years that you've lived. It really, there was so much going on, having to be strong because I have a company. We're deemed essential to have to show up to work every day, while I had a head starter and a junior doing online schooling, and not being able to be there for them for that process, but having to really put on the strong face for my crews. And it was really hard because you know, people that had direct loss like myself, the COVID was so real. It was so real, and still trying to be able to put yourself out there and trying to convince others that we can still work. We're doing these extra protocols. We're having the sanitizers, we're having the masks, we're providing these extra precautionary actions so that we could be there still while having that fear. It was really hard, but it also got harder on me because I started a healing process these past couple of years on what those past issue things were. So it's just like, I really want to put out there, mental health has to be addressed. I mean, the pressures, like I got onto a lot of COVID after Zooms, and they want to talk about just strictly business. I kept trying to throw in the personable part. How did it make you feel? Because for me, it was about how I was feeling in that moment in time. So it brought two things. You know, I go through this, my mantra of I'm bright, I'm brilliant, I'm beautiful, I'm confident, I'm productive, and I'm capable. And it doesn't come naturally that I just feel that. It's a working process that I'm still continuing to work on. But getting to this point and working on this projects like the OBRP project, it's like I'm helping on a project that is giving life back to the plazas. As a Pueblo woman, as Indigenous women, our plazas are very sacred. They give healing, they give community, they give celebration, they give a lot. So to be able to participate on a project that, because of what my chosen field was, which it's amazing. So it's like also being able to be on phase 5 is also rejuvenating. Okay, 18 years in business. I want to do projects I feel passionate about. I want to do projects that are purposeful. I want to shoot out there, like we're working with the Espanola Pathways Shelter. My business partner, Mateo, has been very instrumental on getting that developed, and they're open, and to be able to help them and assist in logistics is very important. Those are projects that I want to look and choose. I feel 18 years, I have the right now to choose what projects we do, who we work for, but also for that healing process for myself. I'm getting back to playing with mud. I need to get out on the field more is my goal for 2022. And not in the office, in the mud. But it's just, I'm glad this came up, to be asked, to present, to be talking about it, because those are two key things. I'm looking to continue or rejuvenate my passion, and being able to share my story and to work with others.
So it's really just wonderful, Liana, how just every day, no matter what happens with us, no matter what storm is in front of us, you're going to have a reason to get up in the morning because you're so passionate about it. And at the end of the day, you're building homes, you're restoring homes for someone else. It's a gift that you have. So I just wanted to thank you. You're just everything that you're doing. And it's twofold. I was just thinking before, I know you forgot to mention, when Giovanna mentioned the 1,000 Voices, you were one of the documentary, you were in that as well. So you guys intertwine as well.
Yeah, that was cool. On one of her practice sessions, on the slideshows, she did the paintings for some of the drawing paintings in the 1,000 Voices. And I was actually picked to be one of the women interviewed. My first thing I told them is, I will do this, but just know if you need to cut me, there is no feelings hurt. I'm an actress as well.
Well, thank you, Liana. Really appreciate it. And we're going to move on to our next presenter, and this is Norma Naranjo. And Norma, I also have a special guest with her that we will be getting on. So Norma, well, we get started and you put your mic on and your video. I wanted to mention that even during COVID, I know Giovanna hadn't mentioned this, but during some of our sessions, she was just so excited because she sold 5 of her paintings during COVID from one gallery, which was just amazing. And people really wanted to feel better. And so as an artist and being able to be at that point where somebody could come in and buy some paintings because of everything else that was going on, and that made them feel a lot better to do that. And during COVID, that was an amazing story as well. So Norma, do you have we need to see your face, so can you put your video on? At the bottom, you'll say stop video. You can share your video, and then there you are. And then make sure that your mic is on as well. Okay. So Norma and I have been working together, oh my gosh, for years and years. And again, she's been with me at some of the national, as a panelist at national events, and also to DC as well. And so I'm gonna let you tell them your story. So tell us a little bit about the feasting place. And Amalia, since you're there, just give us a wave. And Amalia is our special guest today, and she's 9 years old. And her grandmother is Norma, and she will be speaking a little bit on her slides. So we will be hearing a little bit about her as well. And you'll just love to see what she has to say as well. So Norma, go ahead.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. Sengitamu. I'm a member of Okewinge, and so is my granddaughter. And we're here today to really share our stories about how we came to be cooks, Pueblo cooks. And I'd like to thank the 2 women that just presented. I've known about their work, and so I think it's very inspiring to all women that we can be creative, and we can be inspiring, and we can be very helpful with one another. I know Liana and I know each other because her sister has been very, very helpful, and my sister has been very helpful. So our sisters have been very helpful with our businesses. And my sister is Tomasita Duran, who is the director of the Housing Authority. And Liana's sister is the director of Tewa Women United. And so she hires me to cook for their groups and their events. I just wanted to share that. But my story began back when I'm, like I said, I'm a member of Okewinge. I I attended Espanola High School, and then after after I graduated back in 1969, so I'm very old. I joined the military. I was I enlisted in the Navy during the Vietnam War, and I was there for 3 years. After 3 years of military, I came and went to school and got a bachelor's in social work, and then continued on to get a master's in social work. I worked for the US government and retired from the US Public Health Corps in 1999 as a social worker. And I was in the US Public Health Corps and retired as a commander. So I'm very proud of that. After I retired in 1999, I didn't know exactly what I was going to do, but I think the spirits have a plan for all of us. And so one day I catered an event for a best friend who was getting married. And after that event, I started getting calls if I could cook for this person's event, the church group for their event. And one thing led to another. And before I knew it, it was one event after another. So some of my friends encouraged me to open like a small business, and not knowing anything about small business, I went to the Small Business Development Center to get some help. I presented my plan to Juliana and her staff, and I think they had no clue what I was talking about because it was a very unique plan. So I invited them to come to my home so they could get a firsthand, on-hands experience with what I was trying to do. And so once they came and did the experience, then Juliana understood what I was trying to do. I know they asked me if I wanted a loan to start up my business, and I said, no, why would I need a loan? And I said, when I have my home, I have all my equipment, I have my ornals in the backyard. And so the people that are going to be attending my classes will do all the work, and I don't have to pay anyone. So that was my plan. Then she asked, the other question she asked me was, how was I going to market myself and bring these people to attend my classes? So I thought about it one night, and I thought, well, what I'll do is I'll go to the different hotels and talk to the concierge, just like I did with the Small Business Development Center, and invite them to my house so they can experience it, and maybe they can tell their clientele about the classes, the cooking classes. So that's what I did. They all came, they experienced it. One thing led to another, and I started getting calls for people that were interested in learning more about our tradition, our culture, our food, our native foods, feast days, that sort of thing. So 21 years later, I'm still in business. And
And I'd like to mention also, Norma, you're still in business, and 20 years later, you haven't spent 1 cent on marketing. It's all been about inviting people to share the experience, and they're writing about it, talking about it, filming it, sharing it on social media. So you have spent $0 on marketing. So the partnering and collaboration is really important.
That is totally correct. And so after I started getting clientele, then I had to, figure out exactly how I was going to run my classes. And so after doing that, then, I started having different thoughts about how to change things, because I didn't want to just have just a class. I wanted to also expose myself to other events. But like Juliana said, people hearing about this unique class, the unique classes, then I started getting calls from other organizations, the museums in Santa Fe, and other people that just wanted to have a meal and a different experience instead of going to a restaurant. So we not only provide classes, but we also farm and ranch. And as you can see, my grandson is also learning how to ranch and how to farm. And he helps my husband, Hutch, who does a lot of the farming. And I think it's a very important thing to do this, because we are losing. A lot of people don't farm anymore. It's very hard work. And so people would rather go to the grocery stores and buy whatever is necessary to make a meal. But as you can see, we farm a lot. These are the chicos that we grow. And then we also involve our community. As you can see, there are some community members that come and help us to husk the corn and hold the corn and just do different kinds of gardening that is intense labor.
And that really helped you, I think, with COVID, Norma. I just have to mention this because I thought it was amazing that during COVID, we had the CARES Act. Everybody was, trying to scramble for stuff. And I remember asking you if you needed any funding. And the first thing Norma said, I really don't need anything. I have everything. I'm farming, I've canned. She was just set, and she wanted to leave the funding for someone else that truly needed it. And that was very admirable of you. But it also just shows how your business is truly a sustainable business, even through the worst of times.
That's correct. We all have to learn how to be sustainable. And that is one of the things that I learned from my grandmother, my mother, and that's how we lived as we were growing up. We learned how to can, we learned how to garden, we learned how to, just dry everything. And so I was very happy that I had learned those things. As you're growing up, you don't really realize how important those are, those skills are. And it's important because we want to keep our traditions up, our feast days, and those kinds of things, and to eat healthy, to just keep ourselves healthy as Native people. These are my grandsons dancing the deer dance. And this is bread that I've made in the Orno for some big event. And just everyone coming to help and learn how to do different things. And that's one of the things that I'm trying to teach my granddaughter, is how to carry the tradition and make sure that it's kept alive. Like I said, as time has gone on, people have sought me out. We've been featured in different magazines, Land, Water, People, and Time magazine, the Local Flavor magazine, the New Mexico magazine, Edible magazine, and now we're also featured on the Travel Channel. Andrew Zimmerman came to our home, who was very interested in learning about our culture, our history, and our foods. And it was a pleasure having him, and we're featured now on the Travel Channel. We are also New Mexico True certified. They came and they also, if you go on YouTube, you will see our video that New Mexico True came and videoed us.
And I remember just talking to both of these gentlemen, it's all about the experience. You showed them an experience and they shared it with everyone else. And it is a great experience, Norma, to go and watch, and just even how you bake in the Orno and how many breads you bake at one time and how you know how the oven is hot. So anytime you go to Norma's place, it truly is, you're learning a cultural experience, and you're cooking with no electricity, right?
That's correct. And, you know, we're cooking like we did 500 years ago or 600 years ago. And as I'm doing my classes, I give a history about the Orno and how feast days came to be in the Pueblos, and share some of my recipes that my grandmother taught me and things of that nature. And people go away feeling very good. You know, they also share their own experiences of their food. And I just think it's important for all of us to share our experiences, and because, you know, food is what brings people together, and families and community together.
And your place has also been a really great educational place for people from all over the world to also bring children so that they can learn about not only the cultures, but about Pueblo culinary as well.
Yes, we have children that come and want to learn more about the Pueblo history, the food, the culture. And these are local kids. These are from Los Alamos. And also they're from Santa Fe. And these are other women that came and wanted to learn more about bread making. But it's important for us to connect with the world, to educate the people that we still exist as Pueblo people, and to celebrate our lives as we did thousands of years ago. So to me, that's really important. Yes, we were awarded the SBDC like the others. And we weren't only awarded it once, we were awarded it twice. And so that we were very proud of. And so these are the Ornos, the two Ornos in our backyards. These are empanadas that we make. We also work with the Small Business Development Center, and they've brought businesses from international women that want to learn more about cooking and learning different techniques of how to bake and cook.
And what was really great here on with Norma, we also invited some of our local businesses. So you'll also see Elizabeth Inman, owner of Purple Adobe Lavender Farm. We also had Black Mesa Winery here, and we also had Body Basics here. And they were able to share, but they were also, the great outcome about this is they teamed up. Some of them teamed up and they were able to sell some of their product internationally, and they had some suppliers. And so there was some really great outcomes after this that they had. Anything else you'd like to say before I move on, Norma?
I just think it's important for us to understand that, yeah, we're here in New Mexico, but there's other women all over the world that are just in the same boat as we are, and that it's important, regardless of where we are, where we live, where we come from, that we share what we have learned in our past and what has been passed on. And to me, that's really important to do that.
We also brought, I remember we went, well, when you went to testify on behalf of SBDC, I remember Congressman Udall saying, we were talking about your story, and I remember he called me and he said, I really want to go to this woman's place, and so he showed up, and he's been a real great supporter as well.
Yes, Congressman Udall, when he was still a senator, he and I became friends. And I never let him down because I went to testify on behalf of the bill that he was introducing for Native small businesses, and he wasn't there. He was at a different, he made it late. So he made it up, and he comes to visit me every chance he gets. Comes to Okewinge.
And he told me
Yeah.
he's always talking about you. And the best form of marketing are people telling other people about the experience. I mean, that's what social media is all about. I know you mentioned on these ones, you've been in so many publications over and over again. And so these are just some of the publications I know that you had already mentioned. So I'll go on to the next one. These are some of the current ones now during COVID, right, that you're participating in.
Yes, we have done so many catering events. We've been all over. It seems that we've gone from Albuquerque to Colorado to here in our backyard, so we've done a lot. 2 years ago, when Governor Susana Martinez was still governor, she hosted the governor's conference, and we were one of the selected caterers to cater that event. So we were very proud. We were with cowgirls. So I said, okay, we're cowgirls and Indians now. So let's see who's the best. I'm just kidding. But
okay, this
yeah,
is
we've
really
done-
exciting. We had been talking.
Go
Go ahead.
ahead.
I was going to say this is really exciting, Norma, because we've been talking about doing a cookbook for years and years and years, and you made it happen. It's called The Four Sisters, and it's there for sale. Tell us about this.
Yes, during the pandemic, we were all shut down. And so like Liana, you have to reflect back on yourself. Oops, what happened?
You're okay. We see you.
Okay.
Go ahead.
We have to reflect back on ourselves as to what we've done and what we've learned about ourselves during this whole pandemic. So I decided to go ahead and write my cookbook. And it's interesting that there was someone that was a friend of mine way back, came and she introduced this thought about doing the cookbook. So she helped me do the cookbook, and after the pandemic was over, we had a book signing, and like Giovanna, we had an outstanding turnout. And so I have sold tons and tons of books. It's a little book, but it's done very well, and I'm very excited because I have been sharing recipes as people would come to our classes, and I thought, no, I'm going to start selling my recipes. So that was another that's another thing that I do when I have my classes. I sell my products. We sell our chicos, we sell our chili, we sell our blue corn, we sell now our cookbook.
And so this is another opportunity that during COVID, you just have to always find the silver linings all the time. And you were able to sit down and focus on this, because I know before you were always really, really busy. And I'm going to go a little bit quickly through some of these because I know it's 1 o'clock. Just bear with us because we have Amalia coming up. So I would like everyone to hear a little bit about what Amalia has to say as well. And just this is about passing down the traditions, right? Right? It's all about that, Norma.
Yeah, I can't see you. I don't
Okay,
know what happened.
that's okay. I'll go ahead and
Um,
I have the slides up. So what we're showing now is what's really important.
we can't see the slides. We can't see the slides or anything.
Okay, just bear with me and just stay right there because we can see you. So don't press anything and I'll let you know what the slides are and we'll move on, okay? So just stay right there. The only thing, Norma, right now you did, you talked about the time of reflecting during COVID, and tell us a little bit about any more reflections before we move on to Amalia.
Well, I think that reflecting back, like I said, you've got to look at your business and what's happened or not happened, and you really need to see where things are at, where you're at as far as a business person, and make changes or whatever is necessary to make your business work.
And I'm going to end, Norma, with a quote. And this is the quote that she has: I am living my passion and my dream through foods. Oh, I'm sorry about that. Through foods that she has grown and prepared and making a living, sharing her culture and traditions. So you truly have been living your dream. And Norma, just any last thoughts before we move on to Amalia that you want to share about that?
Well, for me, I think it's just very important to share whatever you have learned from your ancestors or your mother, your grandmother, to just carry it on and teach your children and grandchildren to carry on those legacies.
Okay. Well, now, Amalia, you're going to have the floor right now. So I'm going to introduce you, and I know you're not seeing the slides, but it's okay. I'm just going to go ahead and ask you a few questions, and just go ahead and tell me. This is Amalia. She's 9 years old, and she's a future entrepreneur. And so, Amalia, first of all, can you tell us what you're learning from your grandma?
I am learning how to make bread, enchiladas, chicos, empanadas, pies, and cookies.
Wow, so you're learning all the traditional meals that you're learning. So why is your culture and tradition really important to you? Why are you really passionate about it? Can you hear me, Amalia?
No, not for that question.
Oh, okay. Why is your culture and tradition important to you?
It's important to me to carry on what I have learned from my grandma, how to make and bake in the horno.
And I see that we were showing up pictures of you that you're actually in the kitchen and you're making cookies, and you've been doing this since you were very young. So you've been learning side by side on what she's doing. And there's a picture right now with a bunch of different cookies that you guys made.
Yes, I have been learning how to cook since I was 4.
Wow. And yesterday, I know, was St. Anthony's feast day. Can you tell us a little bit about what that meant or what that was all about?
Yes. So St. Anthony's Day is when we celebrate St. Anthony. We dance to bring life and health to the world. And the food that my grandma makes nurtures that. And nurtures that.
Wow.
Everybody comes, family and friends, to join us on a special day because you don't see them that often. They made feast days so you could see your friends and family to be united.
And that's really important because that's what your grandma's been doing, is bringing, it's not only a business she has, but it's about bringing people together and families, and your feast days and the food, everything means something different. So when you have a feast day, you cook certain foods, cook certain things. Now we're seeing a little picture with a chef hat, and we're seeing that you're making cookies. So you've been doing this for a very, very long time. And so anything else that you would like to share on your experience as far as baking and learning a little bit about the Orno? Anything else you'd want to share about that?
Yes, there is one thing. I want to learn all these important things from my grandma so I could pass it on to my kids and so they can pass it on to theirs. And the traditions of what my grandma is teaching me can move on from generation to generation.
Thank you, Amalia. And now we have the picture up. This was really creative, I thought. We have a picture up with a dress that you designed and you had someone make for you. So can you tell us a little bit? This was your holy first communion. So tell us about that.
So recently this year, I have made my first Holy Communion. I wanted a dress. Sage Mountain Flower made a dress for me. I wanted a fluffy dress, modern day, but I wanted a traditional dress, but I couldn't have both. So Sage let me pick out what I had wanted to wear. I picked out a skirt that is fluffy and a shirt that is traditional. I am wearing moccasins, a belt, beaded necklace, beaded earrings. That particular day, I was doing a fashion show to show off what Sage Mountain Flower has done to my dress and for them to see what I have created.
Thank you, Amalia. So I thought this, when she shared this with me, I thought she already has that entrepreneurial spirit and she's being very creative. She's thinking not only out of the box, but she's thinking out of where there is no lines out of the box. And she combined two things that are together. And again, learning from your grandma about carrying on this tradition and everything that she has done to be able to make a living with everything that you have learned and you're just sharing has been truly phenomenal. I know we're at 10 after right now and we're coming to the close of our business, of everything that happened right now. Sorry about that. And I will just get on with us. And I know, Chris, were there any more questions or anything? I know we're over time, so we can, if you have any questions, you can feel free to email me and we will definitely get back to you because I know we went a few minutes after time right now. So Chris, you just let me know what you want to do.
Let's see, well, we see if there's any questions in there. A lot of great feedback, a lot of people very impressed with today's webinar. Let me see if there's any questions in the chat. There's a kudos to Liana.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of them, very inspirational women testimonials that are coming, that you guys have shared with us that I'm seeing. And Amalia, you have also something here. So proud of your willingness to carry on the traditions of pure food, sharing from your love for making people smile after eating good, delicious food, and thank you. And beautiful dress, and you look so great. And my contact, I will go ahead and put my contact in the chat so that people can have that. Let me see if there, do you see anything else, Chris, that's on here?
I don't, I saw that Elder Kathy Sanchez was on. Nice to have her with us and view the webinar. Let's look at the Q&A. Liana, this is from Neoma. Liana, you mentioned the importance of mental health. How do you support your employees with their mental health?
One thing that we do emphasize, because we are native owned, that we do participate in a lot of our own tribal ceremony, being able to have that available for them, that they have that time where you normally wouldn't be able to just take off because of ceremony or traditions that are happening, because that's an important aspect of that realm. But then just also really just trying to put out what resources are out there and available. It's a lot of organizations willing to support in that manner. And I just wanted to let you know that Kathy is my mom.
Oh, is that very? I know your mom's passionate about mental health, and she's doing projects to strengthen that on the tribe. So that's great. Let's see.
Yeah, I'm not seeing any more. I went ahead and put my contact information, my email in the chat. So anyone, if you have any questions for any of our presenters today, go ahead and send them to me. I know we're running a little over time, but again, anyone just wanted to share these great inspirational stories to hopefully reignite and re-inspire anyone that's thinking about a business. I mean, you're thinking about something you're passionate about, something you grew up with, a tradition, a culture can turn into a business. And these great inspiring women have done that, and they've done that for over 20 years. And you heard from each one of them, and it's worked. So something is working here. And again, I'd like to leave you with, it's all about the experience. And with COVID, businesses are changing, everything is changing. And so anything that you're doing, if you can provide that experience, and it's easier more than ever right now with social media, with everything that we're more in a global world that we're living in, to share that and collaborating with partners and the right people. And like we talked about, not really looking at competition, looking at how can we better help each other and how can we better help everyone to move forward. And I truly believe, again, the key to sustainable future is to reawaken our sustainable past. So I'm going to leave you with that and just want to thank you very much, Chris, for also assisting us with this. And thank you to the panelists. You guys are amazing women. I know I'm there to assist you, but you inspire me every day. And I'm passionate when I'm able to assist and I see the success on the other end and the passion that comes with that. So thank you very much. And I hope everyone have a blessed day and take care. Thank you.